Nigeria and Equatorial Guinea sign agreement on gas pipeline for Gulf of Guinea.
National Judicial Institute recommends Justice Kudirat Kekereekun as new Chief Justice of Nigeria.
Presidency reacts to alleged attempts to take over federal government's offshore assets.
And on Good Morning Nigeria today, we shall discuss Mpox as a public health emergency.
Mpox, the high infectious disease that used to be known as monkeypox. You know, Henry, when I hear Mpox, it sounds so funkified that it doesn't give you that sense of danger that there is. When it was monkeypox, you get the message straight up.
Well,
it has been declared a public health emergency in Africa by the continent's top health body.
now that's alarming, you may say, Victor, because it's of, if you like, worldwide concern at the moment. And scientists from the Africa Center for Disease Control and Prevention, Africa CDC, say they are alarmed by the speed at which a new strand of Mpox has been spreading.
Well, since the beginning of the year, more than 13,700 cases and 450 deaths have been recorded in the Democratic Republic of Congo, where the disease was first identified in 1958 in small mammals, that's monkeys, used for research.
The virus, which can cause lesions across the whole body, spreads from animals to humans and between people through close contact with someone who is infected, including through sex, skin-to-skin contact, and talking or breathing close to another person.
Well, Mpox can cause symptoms such as fever, muscle aches, and lesions across the body. If left untreated, Mpox can be deadly. As at May 2022, there were 780 laboratory confirmed cases reported of Mpox to the World Health Organization. Now, the 2022 global outbreak affected 110 countries with approximately 87,000 cases and 112 deaths.
In Nigeria, let's bring the statistics home now. Mpox was first identified on April 4, 1971 in a 4-year-old girl living in Ihie Umuduru village in Abia State, southeast Nigeria, after developing a febrile illness. Nigeria has so far confirmed a total of 39 out of 788 suspected cases across 33 states and the FCT at the moment.
Well, that's pretty much the entire country. And to prevent the spread of Mpox in the country, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention, NCDC, is strongly urging members of the public to adhere to proven infection prevention and control measures. Now, healthcare workers, both private and public, are further advised to follow standard safety measures and precautions when caring for patients.
So today we focus on a growing concern that's spreading rapidly across the continent, Mpox, which has been declared a public health emergency. Now, this viral disease has already affected thousands, with cases reported in more than 20 African countries.
Well, as the outbreak continues to spread, we pause to ask, what's driving the resurgence of monkeypox in Africa?
Also, what are the challenges in containing its spread, and how can governments, health experts, and communities work together to mitigate its impact?
From the front lines of the outbreak to the policy rooms of public health, we'll examine the response to this growing crisis and what it means for Africa's health security. Welcome to the program. I am Victor Azon. We are reaching you on the network service of the NTA.
And I'm Henry John. I join Victor to welcome you to the program. Would have newspaper review much later, but for now, let's have the highlights of the morning news with Musa Abubakar. Musa, good morning to you.
Good morning, Yuri. Good morning, Victor. Here's the news. President Bola Tinubu and that of Equatorial Guinea, Teodoro Obiang Nguema Mbasogo, on Wednesday evening in Malabo signed an agreement on Gulf of Guinea pipeline project, further affirming partnership for mutual development. A statement by the President's Special Advisor on Media and Publicity, Azuri Ngilali, says the agreement covers legislative and regulatory measures for the gas pipeline, establishment and operation, transit of natural gas, ownership of the gas pipeline, and general principles. President Tinubu, who is on a 3-day official visit to Equatorial Guinea, emphasized the agreement will open up new opportunities for gas exploration and employment. Other issues discussed by the two leaders include employment creation, food security, multilateral relations, and conflict resolution mechanisms on the continent during a private meeting that preceded the signing of the agreement. The president of Equatorial Guinea said bilateral relations with Nigeria over many years have been rewarding and emphasized the need to deepen cooperation across salient areas. The National Judicial Council has recommended Justice Kudirat Motomori Kekere Ekun to President Bola Tinubu for appointment as the Chief Justice of Nigeria. The Council made the recommendation at its meeting in Abuja. The recommendation of Justice Kekere Ekun follows the pending retirement of Justice Olukayode Ariola as the Chief Justice of Nigeria, due by next week, Thursday. Justice Kudirat Motomori Olatokunbo Kekere Ekun, who was born on May 7, 1958, obtained her LLB in 1980 from the University of Lagos and was called to the Nigerian bar on the 10th July 1981. Justice Kekere Ekun, who is a life bencher, was elevated to the bench of the Supreme Court of Nigeria as the 5th female justice of the court. The presidency has reacted to alleged attempts by Chinese company Zhuangshan Fucheng Industrial Investment Company Limited to take over offshore assets of the federal government of Nigeria through fraudulent means. In a statement by the Special Advisor on Information and Strategy, Bayo Nanuga, the federal government says it is not under any contractual obligation to the company, as the case is between the company and the Ogun State government, which has been making efforts to amicably resolve the matter. The statement says the contract with Ogun State was revoked in 2015 because the Chinese company had only erected a perimeter fence on the land earmarked for a free trade zone. Onanuga explained that Ogun State is still working with the Attorney General and Minister of Justice on the amicable solution. He says Zhongshan obtained the two orders from the Judicial Court of Paris in March and August without any notice being duly served on either the federal government or Ogun State government. It further stated that Zhongshan undoubtedly withheld vital information and misled the Judicial Court in Paris into attaching the Nigerian government's presidential jets, which are on routine maintenance in France. The U.S. and nature of the presidential jets as assets of a sovereign entity whose assets are protected by diplomatic immunity forbid any foreign court from issuing an order against them. It added the presidential advisor likened the latest arm-twisting tactics by the Chinese company to the PNID case, in which questionable individuals falsely present themselves as investors to undercut governments in Africa. The government assures Nigerians of readiness to protect the nation's assets in foreign jurisdictions from predators. Nigeria's inflation rate has dropped for the first time in 19 months in July 2024. Data from the National Bureau of Statistics shows that headline inflation dipped to 33.40% in annual terms from 34.19% in June. Vice-Chancellor of the Federal University Kashari, Gombe State, Professor Umar Pate, has emerged as the pioneer president of the Society of Nigerian Broadcasters following election of new executives at the first national conference. New members were also inducted at the event in Abuja.
I would like to present the newly elected executives of SMB.
We thank you, sir, for accepting the responsibility.
We are accepting to serve the broadcasting industry, to promote the integrity and interests of every broadcaster.
Those are the highlights of the news at this time. Good Morning Nigeria continues with Victor and Henry after the commercial break. Please don't go away.
From the Atlantic across the savannah to the Sahara, we rise, a land of the free, we know they tire. We dream great, our spirit is undying.
Resilient, rooted like palm tree, we sway in colors, with undying demand, we make solutions, we ignite passion, yeah. Ethnicity is unique, we have more than just a nation. We are Nigeria, we are Nigeria, strengthening unity, we know they carry lives. We are Nigeria, we are Nigeria, together live the dream of a land with great destiny. We are Nigeria.
I am the real Nigerian. Brought to you by the National Orientation Agency, NOA.
You have to meet my best friend. She's the sweetest. Hey, check out my hair.
Which one? The one on your head or the one in the sink? Relax. Next time, just use the Mega Growth Anti-Damage Relaxer. It's infused with wonder oils and conditioning proteins so you can retouch without breakage. Now your hair looks great.
Thank you.
Retouch without breakage with Mega Growth Anti-Damage No-Like Cream Relaxer.
A new edition of TV Guide is out.
This time, we got up close and personal with the transformational legislator, the Deputy President of the Senate, distinguished Senator Barrel Jibrin.
It created a difference in terms of representation through interventions that have brought an unprecedented infrastructural development to my area.
This edition is a compendium of mind-blowing stories for your reading pleasure, ranging from technology, entertainment, economy, media, politics, family, and lots more.
It is indeed a park of excitement as we take you through every aspect of life. Pick up your copy and get abreast with issues and trending features within our space.
TV Guide, very incisive, very educative and compelling. Grab a copy at the vendor near you or any NTA station nationwide. TV Guide, your indispensable companion.
Come on, let's go.
Darling natural twists blend with her hair over time.
Yeah, that's perfect.
She's really more beautiful every week. Darling natural twists get better every day, just like you.
Nigeria means a lot to me.
And Nigeria means peaceful cohesion.
My country.
We continue to pray, and then hopefully we will come to understand that unity of purpose, unity of living together.
Our ethnic beliefs and background and culture is our strength.
Ever since the amalgamation period of 1914 to date, about 109 years ago, the people of Nigeria live very peacefully with one another.
I think diversity helps a lot to enhance robust
development in Nigeria?
All over the country, you have so many ethnic groups, over 250. That is enough to tell you that this is a blessed country, and that God has kept, together as one indivisible entity.
Did you know that President Bola Tinubu has approved the suspension of import duties and tariffs on rice, maize and other essential food items for the next 5 months? The President has also approved the suspension of import duties on pharmaceutical raw materials and equipment. This will help bring down the prices of food and drugs across the country. All hands are on deck to ensure that things get better for all Nigerians. This is the renewed hope.
Arthur, thank you for staying with us on Good Morning Nigeria. Let's get you the newspaper review next.
All right, we got Chukwudi Okoli Ubaja with us this morning.
Okolie Ubaja. Let me teach you how to say it in Delta. Okolie Ubaja. Say it.
It's okay. Actually, there are 3 vowels. There are 3 vowels there, but because of contiguity, one will assimilate
Okoli
sound.
Ubaja.
Okoli Ubaja, okay? In one smooth flow. Good morning. And don't make my name the signpost on Good Morning Nigeria today.
Thank God I didn't have a teacher like Victor in school. I'm not sure I would have passed.
You wouldn't have learnt anything.
Oh my God.
The rain has descended.
Indeed.
I hope it's not too late for my maize. Anyway, good to see you.
But I hear it's just in some parts, not across the country. There was a report from Lokoja today. It didn't rain there. So I guess because we've been experiencing
unusual dry spell.
All right, so let's see what the papers have and see if it's raining. With the headlines this morning, we have the Blueprint and some other papers, but we'll begin with the Blueprint. It leads with presidency. Chinese company misled French court and seized presidential jets. Riders insist Nigeria assets protected by diplomatic community. Immunity. It's another P&ID case with fake investors, according to Onanuga. Ogun explains federal government moves to vacate order. All right, you want to find out what's going on? Pick up a copy. Above that, we have, I still live in a rented apartment, says ex-governor Shekarau. That's on page 10 of the Blueprint. Let's quickly move below the picture story. On the front page of the Blueprint, we have Africa must develop its resources to progress, stop skills exodus. That's according to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Police nabbed 2 for attempting to bury man alive in Kaduna. 227,494 persons affected by flood in 27 states, according to NEMA. NJC recommends Justice Kekerekun as CJN. And finally, from the front page of the Blueprint, we have Idris urges accurate, balanced reporting on Nigeria by international media. All right, so let's see what the New Telegraph has this morning. The New Telegraph leads with a health concern, Mpox. NCDC places Lagos, Abuja, others on red alert as Nigeria records 39 cases. The rider, first case of more dangerous virus found outside Africa. All right. Above that, strategic deliberate research development will stop skill exodus in Africa, according to Tinubu. And of course, Kekerekun is also right here on the front page of the New Telegraph. Court orders temporary forfeiture of $2 million landed properties, shares linked to Emefiele. That's on page 29. Bauchi governor seeks federal government intervention for flooding and 5 local governments. Below the picture story, we also have the story on the Chinese firm and the federal government. You want to find out what's going on. Invasion, NLC threatens strike if federal government, police fail to apologize. Riders demands proof of link with terrorists kicks against government interference in union leaders' tenure. Interesting times ahead. You want to see that. And finally, in the green strip, study links chemicals in makeup to pregnancy complication. You want to hear that again? Study links chemicals in makeup to pregnancy complication. That's on page 28. Victor.
All right, and that takes us to Leadership Friday. And it leads with the bold headline, ahead of NEC, APC power brokers plan soft landing for Kanduje. Mall ambassadorial job for him, shop for new national chairman. APC governors to send 3 names to president. North Central stakeholders tip Al-Makura. That story is on page 4. And then you see the picture illustration with a question mark, and that simply says, who is next? And then above the nameplate, NLC alleges plots to weaken labor unions. That story is on page 6. And finally, from here, 21 million naira for running costs, not salary allowances. That's according to Senate. And that story is on page 6. I know that we were discussing it here the other day, and we did say that this isn't all of it.
Actually, when you hear it's just for running costs, not salaries, allowances, you begin to say, maybe you need to explain even further, because that means that more money is eventually,
of course,
you know. But it's okay. As I
is
said,
it okay?
No, it's okay.
Well, it's okay
Look,
to be okay.
Whether you like it or not, things will continue to happen in the world. It is not what happens that matters, really. It is how we react to what happens. And I said yesterday that all the meshy situations surrounding allowances, salaries for lawmakers, that wasn't necessary at all if only they had come out clearly from inception to say, this is how it is. It has to be very transparent. It is not catch me if you can, hide and seek. That is actually what the problem is.
Indeed.
If they had been clear about all this, one would now say, oh, this money is too much. Why don't we work on it and all that? Put it on the table. Anything in the world can be discussed.
It's on the table. It's just you and I that probably don't have the details. It's on the table.
If you've been following international news, Ukraine has now taken part of Russia.
Yeah.
What they are doing is, by the time we are able to sit, I would say I have some portion. That's if they're able to retain their hold on it. You have Crimea and the rest. Can we now negotiate? Everything at the end of the day is negotiated in life. So no big deal at all. You know, that's it. Let them just be open about it. NLC threatening national strike if federal government doesn't. What's the meaning of that?
Well, here they are alleging that there are plans to weaken labor unions.
No, they say if they do not apologize, they would not be apologizing.
Over the invasion. Right.
That's it. And I'm saying, let's not trivialize strikes. No, you don't. You reserve that for last. You keep it for last. You don't just whip the strike there. If the federal government has impugned your integrity as a labor union and all that, get your evidence, go to court, let the court reprimand the federal government action. Don't say we could go on strike.
But the problem here, Chukwudi...
Is it attributed? I didn't quite read that story.
But the problem here, Chukwudi, is that it's a case of it wasn't me. Nobody's owned up.
Nobody owned up.
So if nobody has owned up, do we then assume that criminals invaded?
I don't know what you want to assume, but if nobody has owned up, the federal government could say, why are you pointing a finger at us? Who told you we did it? Again, catch me if you can. You know, my friend would say the many troubles of Ganduje. Don't worry, politicians would always be politicians. And anyway, that is an investigation. You see, as journalists, we have a code of conduct. It may be unspoken, but we have it. When it is an investigation, when it is not attributed, this was said by, understand, you are cautious about it so that you don't begin to go speculative. But if the APC is planning a soft landing, so to speak, for Ganduje, that would be within the party confines. That would have nothing to do with the court case he has with you understand?
I'm not sure because and I know the papers have suddenly disappeared from the
You can
court.
always re-erect a case against anybody.
Kano State government didn't say they can re-erect.
So
they just said it was it's gone missing.
Fine. They will reinvestigate and start another case. So that's not an excuse at all. Don't bother yourself. It can only elongate the process. But then, nobody's insinuating that Ganduje is guilty of anything.
Indeed.
We are saying he's been indicted.
Indeed.
It's always very important that we do that. I don't have enough information about the seized jets.
Not seized.
It's
an order.
It's an order.
It's a Chinese firm.
FG fights back over seized presidential jets.
Well, that caption may be misleading.
You're talking to some editors now. Whatever happens, our jets are not free to move as of now, isn't it? The jets concerned.
They could be.
Very good. The important thing at the end of the day is sort it out. But if it's within what diplomatic immunity would grant us, then you begin to ask, why would it happen at all? And China has very good relations with Nigeria. They would not like their own firm to embarrass us at the end of the day. They are going to sort it out.
But what's even the rationale for attempting to seize federal government's assets for a transaction between the Chinese company and the Ogun State government?
Now, well, the Ogun State government
is a government
on
its
Nigeria.
own.
Fine.
It's a government on its own.
You could say there a go-between,
And they didn't transact on behalf of the federal government.
I am not very, 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 very sound in terms of aviation law and all that. I can't be categorical about it. But whatever happens, what I think is that they are going to sort it out because China and Nigeria share relations. They want to grow more and more. So they're going to talk to their own firm at the end of the day and all that.
Well, clearly government is not waiting for that. Government is going to vacate that judgment.
This is initial brouhaha for convenient headlining. That's what it is for now. So don't panic over anything. Okay? Then there is even this one concerning the airpiece matter. The UK government is saying we'll respond to Nigeria's threat to bar our airlines soon. It's kind of a tit-for-tat scenario is what is being suggested here. And you say, oh, so much, trouble in the air because the planes fly in the air, Well, I'm sure we'll get there.
And then inflation rate drops to 33.40%.
From what?
In July.
From 34?
Drops to 33.40. So that's according to the MBS.
My people will say, birds say it don't tire to stay for ground. Then it perches on an anthill. What's the difference between the anthill and the ground?
But
we have to be happy because in the economics they will tell you that 0.5 means a lot. So let's not be mischievous about it.
And we have to be optimistic, right?
Yes.
So Chukwudi, thank you very much for coming this day.
Thank you. I'm so happy it has rained.
Thank God it's Friday.
Not too late for my maize.
Thank God it's Friday. Go enjoy yourself.
My mic is switched off today.
Yes, I know. When you mentioned farming.
All right, let's go on this break and return to begin our conversation proper. Please don't go away.
Relief is coming. More wages, reduced costs. Nigeria's national minimum wage is now 70,000 naira and it will be reviewed every 3 years. The federal government will commence immediate implementation and state governments are being encouraged to follow suit. With the presidential CNG initiative, transport costs are coming down. Are you a car owner or a transporter? Visit www.pci.gov.ng to find out how you can benefit from switching to CNG. This is the renewed hope.
You have to meet my best friend. She's the sweetest. Hey, check out my hair.
Which one? The one on your head or the one in the sink? Relax. Next time, just use the Mega Growth Anti-Damage Relaxer. It's infused with wonder oils and conditioning proteins so you can retouch without breakage. Now your hair looks great.
Thank you.
Retouch without breakage with Mega Growth Anti-Damage No-Lie Cream Relaxer.
NTA Television College Jos, with a pedigree of producing indelible professionals in the media space and an affiliate of the prestigious Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, for the award of degree in mass communication, calls on prospective candidates to leverage on the following courses it offers for 2024-2025 academic session. BSc Mass Communication, those with minimum admissible score of 180 and above who sat for the 2024 JAMB/UTME and direct entry, while 100 to 179 minimum admissible score can apply for the National Innovation Diploma NID in Film and Television Production, Broadcast Journalism and Television Engineering. For more inquiries, visit our website or call 0803 383 4343. Announcer, Registrar.
Come on. Let's go. Darling natural twists blend with her hair over time.
Yeah, that's perfect.
She's really more beautiful every week. Darling natural twists get better every day, just like you.
We must all join hands to work hard so that we build a country for our grandchildren.
My hope is that we develop a nation where every citizen is given his due right. There is transparency, honesty, and integrity.
Put the interests of this country first and foremost. Interests of Nigeria is being one nation, one people.
The need, if I mean, to put things right, things that have gone wrong before, to try and put right, for this, for the love of country.
This season, enjoy all the better moments with GoTV. Your football party GoTV, they give you better deal of Decoder plus GoTenna for only 19,900 naira. Make you enjoy correct football action live on Top Super Sport. GoTV, love it.
Imagine a world where your potential isn't limited by your bank account, where your financial dreams can become reality. That world is here with the Nigerian Consumer Credit Corporation scheme, Credico. Credico is one of President Tinubu's initiatives designed to put the power of consumer credit in the hands of working Nigerians. Here to help you achieve your goals, whether it's providing for your family or expanding your home or business. Visit www.credico.ng today for details. This is the renewed hope.
This is Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA, and to kickstart our conversation which borders on Mpox as a public health emergency, here's a background report put together by our correspondent Ekene Ondulwe.
The World Health Organization has declared that the increasing spread of Mpox in Africa is a public health emergency of international concern under the 2005 International Health Regulations. WHO said there have been more than 15,000 cases and 537 deaths in Africa this year, which already exceed last year's figures. Last week, the Africa Center for Disease Control reported that Mpox has now been detected in at least 13 African countries. Compared with the same period last year, the agency said cases are up 160% and deaths have increased by 19%. Earlier this year, scientists reported the emergence of a new form of Mpox in a Congolese mining town that can kill up to 10% of people and may spread more easily. So far, more than 96% of all cases and deaths are in Congo. WHO, however, said Mpox was recently identified for the first time in 4 East African countries: Burundi, Kenya,
Rwanda, and Uganda. All of those outbreaks were linked to the epidemic in Congo. In the Ivory Coast and South Africa, health authorities have reported outbreaks of a different and less dangerous version of Mpox that spread worldwide in 2022. In Nigeria, cumulatively, a total of 39 confirmed cases and 0 deaths have been recorded across 33 states and the FCT from the beginning of the year 2024. Mpox, also known as monkeypox, is a viral infection that primarily affects humans and animals. It was first identified by scientists in 1958 when there were outbreaks of a pox-like disease in monkeys. In 2022, the virus was confirmed to spread via sex for the first time and triggered outbreaks in more than 70 countries across the world that had not previously reported Mpox. How can citizens safeguard themselves against this disease? How can Nigerian health authorities protect the country from the Mpox disease? Our guests on Good Morning Nigeria will give answers to these questions and more in a short while.
All right, thank you very much, Ekenendulwe, for that background report. And to get us into the conversation, let me introduce here in the studio Professor Abdusalami Nasidi, Pioneer Director General, Nigeria Center for Disease Control and CDC. Prof, it's a pleasure to welcome you to Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you very much.
All right, and from the former to the incumbent, let me welcome here in the studio as well Dr. Benga Joseph, who is Head Health Emergency and Preparedness Department at the Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention, NCDC. Thank you very much, Doctor.
Thank you for having me.
And we also have with us, of course, a regular on the program. It's a pleasure to welcome again Dr. Isaac Akuma Igbuja, a public health specialist. Many thanks for joining us on Good Morning Nigeria today.
My pleasure. I'm glad to be here.
All right, let's get going with Dr. Joseph. What do we know as of today, Friday, the 16th of August? What do we know about Mpox across Nigeria?
Okay, thank you for having me. The current situations of Mpox in Nigeria from the beginnings of this year, we have been trying to ensure that we put all effort in place to ensure that we prevent and control Mpox in Nigeria. From January up to date, we have been able to report up to 786 suspected cases, and we have tested all the 786 suspected cases. Mm-hmm. Out of that, we have 39 confirmed cases. Those suspected cases was reported across 33 states and FCT. But for confirmed case, we have confirmed case from 19 states and FCT. So far, our case fatality rate is 0%, no death. And we have been trying to ensure that we have enhanced surveillance so that we ensure that we pick case as early as possible and be able to test them. We have robust sample movement in place that we can move sample from the state to our designated laboratories. We have 2 laboratories that can test Mpox in country now, though there is a process of optimizing other laboratories to be able to test. We have our reference laboratories in Lagos, and then we also have a central public health laboratory in Lagos, and then the reference laboratory in Abuja. And these are the 2 laboratories that have been testing monkeypox sample in Nigeria. So far, so good. We are still on the monkeypox still under control. Of recent, what we try to do after the declarations of the monkeypox as emergency of international concern, public health emergency of international concern, we tried to enhance our surveillance. And how do we do that? We tried to ensure that all our border, both the main airport, that is Lagos Airport, Enugu Airport, Abuja Airport, Port Harcourt Airport, Kano Airport. We try to be able to enhance surveillance at the point of entries by hiring more such staff to be able to screen most of the staff that will be coming in countries. And we are also preparing to also do the same thing for our seaport, land port, and land crossing, so that we'll be able to track some of these cases as they are coming in country. And we have a coordinated response, we call it TWG, under the NCDC, that coordinate all the response. And this helps us to be able to leverage on different capacity and capability across different ministries and agencies in order to respond to Mpox effectively.
All right. Thank you very much for that background as regards what the NCDC is doing and has been doing as regards Mpox. Dr. Joseph, we'll get back to you, but let's get to Professor Nasidi now. I'd like you to tell us first and foremost, what is Mpox? Somebody may be watching you now and just hearing Mpox for the first time and wondering if that's a new wallet for, sending money or something. So, So, what is Mpox? What are the symptoms? What do people really need to know at this point in time?
Okay, so, well, once again, thank you for having me, and, good morning, Nigerians, and, definitely this is a new public health issue that, is coming up, and again, around, our continent. Mpox, which is formerly, regarded as monkeypox, is a viral disease. The name is changed from monkeypox to Mpox because of stigma. When the disease was first detected in Denmark in 1958, it was among monkeys that they were using for experiment. And so the virus was easily identified and characterized, and then they therefore called it monkeypox virus. During that period, actually there were no records of this disease affecting human. So the first human case appeared in Democratic Republic of Congo in the year 1970, and it shocked people because it's a virus that is similar to smallpox virus or cowpox virus, and we know the potential of smallpox, how it has devastated the world. It was the largest pandemic ever recorded. So that means what we call host species jump had occurred, that it has jumped from animals to humans. So anytime such things happen, it can be devastating. So that first outbreak was very terrible, but because of time, I jumped to new events. So the WHO and many other institutions like US CDC, now Nigerian CDC and others, Africa CDC now, started monitoring this virus because it can transform or transmutate to become more deadly. So exactly 1 year before now, we were in this studio discussing the same monkeypox, with again the DG of NCDC, where many institutions in the world sounded a word of caution that we must monitor this virus. It could cause pandemic. So the WHO had to declare public health emergency of international concern that time, not because it was many cases, but it's jumping from human to human, from continent to continent.
It was something to keep an eye on.
Exactly. So why did WHO declare the public health emergency of international concern so quick? You remember COVID, it took time before they declared. Ebola, it took time before they declared, but now they declared this so quick, and so on and so forth. Before WHO or any agency will declare public health emergency of international concern, there has to be what they call extraordinary events. So the first extraordinary event is that the virus causing the disease or bacteria is misbehaving. It's getting out of hand and spreading fast. So in this case, it is already happening. in the last maybe let's say 3 to 4 months, the disease is spreading so fast, particularly in the African continent. It's out of DRC and infecting many other neighboring countries with high mortality and high efficiency in transmission. It's high efficiency. It means if I come here, I shake you, I go like Ebola, you're already infected, and you could get the disease. So that one is there. It's an extraordinary event, and so on and so forth. So the second one is the fact that, you know, is it really posing serious public health issue? So yes, it's already posing public health issues, spreading fast. As the WHO was announcing Mpox as public health emergency of international concern yesterday, or the day before yesterday, the first case of this virus jumping from Africa to Europe was also announced by Sweden, with devastating, you know, clinical presentations. So what are the symptoms? You know, it's very dangerous because it mimics other diseases. It comes with fever, severe headache, muscle pains, back pain. So this phase, that's the first phase, is called the invasive phase. Okay, so people, you will ask how many diseases give these symptoms? Malaria, cholera, everything gives these first symptoms. But there will be such a general weakness that the person can't move very well and so on and so forth. But within 3-4 days, it goes into the second phase, which is the phase for rashes. So rashes will come out all over the place. And the rashes looks like the rashes of smallpox. Most other diseases, measles, you don't have rashes on the palm or all this, but this one, rashes everywhere, the face, the skin, the palm, the sole, rashes everywhere. And these rashes, the evolution of the rashes from when they appear to when they resolve is like smallpox also. So it will be filled with fluid, with pus, then later they break and then they heal. So if such first rashes come, parents might think it's chickenpox, it's measles, it's you know, maybe cancroid, but the last point is the transmission route, and that's why the world is worried. The first stages, early days of this pox or monkeypox, the transmission was mostly from monkey to humans, or from human to human through contact, close contact. But now, the new strain of the virus that is misbehaving, you know, we have 2 types of virus, clade 1 and clade 2. So the new clade 1 was, especially 2A or something in Congo, was being transmitted mostly through close contact. The latest one is now, clade 1B they call it, is now being transmitted very fast through sexual contact. And it's occurring among the high-risk groups that we should be frightened about. Commercial sex workers, gays, bisexuals. So which means, you know, the danger, the risk of gathering it or contacting it is very high. Because not unlike, you know, where you have open gay men, here you have very few of them, but majority of the so-called gay men in our countries, in Nigeria in particular, are bisexuals. So, you know, that they jump between, you know, male, female, between commercial into this, you know, bisexual, this is where you have a married man and he's doing, you know, running around and so on and so forth. So this is not the time to really run around. Anybody that is responsible must be very careful. So these are the, you know, reasons why, you know, the public health emergency of international concern is gone. Then the last point is that if it's spreading so fast, then it's no longer possible for one country to handle it on its own. So the WHO will now say, this is becoming too deadly. It has to be a coordinated effort. So the first to declare was African CDC, but African CDC had limitations. They can declare only for Africa. So, but when the thing started, you know, moving faster, the WHO had, you know, emergency meeting of their committee, or you say it's called Emergency Committee in Geneva, and they declared public health emergency of international concern. But let me just say something that is very important. The chairman of that committee is actually a Nigerian. It's Professor Dime Ogoina, and he is the provost of Niger Delta University Medical School now, he is the first to report the sexual transmission of Mpox in the world. For that, he was honored to be among the 100 most important persons of 2023. And also, his publication became among one of the best 10s in the world by Nature magazine. Nature magazine is the leading scientific magazine. So with the NCDC, Federal Ministry of Health, Port Health, and this type of institutions, and then our own is the chairman of the committee, I think Nigeria can face this challenge.
But how come Mpox re-emerged? You know, they said the first case was in 1970. This is 54 years after.
Yeah.
What is responsible for the re-emergence of monkeypox now?
That's a very good question. And a lot is happening. That the number of people with low immunity are increasing. People infected with HIV, especially in these communities where it's endemic in Congo. Two, all these wars pushing people, you know, into bush. You saw what is happening in Congo to meet the animals and all this. And so human-animal contact is increasing. And people that are displaced and they are inside the jungle, if they don't have food, they eat anything. They can eat lizard, they can eat this, they can eat that, and so on and so forth. So that is increasing. Then thirdly, sexual escapade. If it has jumped out of the jungle to human and now is spread by this, and there are some gay men that they come for tourism to Africa. The last foci for the outbreak in Congo was actually by a European who came into Congo maybe for sexual escapade or tourism in quote, that he transmitted to several, you know, Africans, you know, very quickly, poor Africans. So these are some of the reasons why, you know, it's reimagined. And of course, if you say why is the virus changing? The virus is also changing because of climate, you know, global warming, climate changes, and all this, and they're all affecting some of these viruses.
All right, Prof. Thank you very much. We'll get back to you, Dr. Boja. You've had the privilege of listening to Professor Nasidi and Dr. Joseph here. What's your assessment of Nigeria's readiness to combat, you know, this outbreak? And I ask because only 2 labs, you know, for testing Mpox at the moment. Is that sufficient for a country of more than 200 million?
Well, the issue of readiness for handling the problem does not even stop at how many labs or how many hospitals we have. It starts from what could cause the problem, our behavior, and how we handle diseases generally. Well, let me respond to the first part of the question. Yes, the number of labs may be small, but as of now, from what our friend and colleague from NCDC said, it does not look like we are overwhelmed yet. So I'm not scared.
But we could be.
It could be, but hopefully we'll be able to respond and expand rapidly. This is the reason why we have been, those of us in the public health have been repeatedly saying that we should prepare. There's no reason why every region, every political region should not have a lab for this kind of emergency. There is no reason why, in fact, every state should not have. We have enough resources that would enable us to do that, but we don't at the moment. But let me go to the part that I'm scared about. Our behavior, our readiness to handle problems. You remember when COVID came? The most worrisome part of COVID was how people respond and how people took the problem seriously or not seriously. Now, Dr. Nasidi just alerted us and informed us of how this particular disease mimics others. It could be chickenpox, it could be measles, and in fact,
even COVID.
It mimics smallpox. You and I don't know much about smallpox because we were small babies when smallpox was eradicated. But that is even more deadly than
Mpox.
Yeah, than Mpox. Hopefully, though, Mpox will not spread, and the virus that causes it will not replicate and misbehave. Let me borrow the word from Professor Nasidi, and misbehave. In other words, it is becoming wild, untamed, uncontrolled. That's what he means. Let's hope that it doesn't get to that stage. But there's every reason to believe that as we go with time, more viruses will replicate and misbehave. In other words, there will be mutations as a result of climate change, as a result of the fact that we are changing hosts. This is a zoonotic disease, meaning it exists in animals as well as human beings. It is possible that when a particular strain infects an animal and a human being gets it from that animal, on getting back to the animal, it could change. The same way, the other way around too. If it's from a human being to an animal, and an animal back to human being, by the time it comes to human beings, it could vary, change. Yeah. So those are some of the reasons why we should be a little bit worried. The fact that this particular virus may be something else would make people think, oh, this is measles. It's nothing to worry about. I've had measles before. Or maybe this is chickenpox. And we've been having cases of chickenpox, and people have been controlling it. And therefore, maybe there's nothing to worry about. But one of the key presentations of this disease that will make people worry, which Professor Nasidi alerted us to, is the fact that the blisters would come in the palm of the victim and in the soul too, and in the tongue. This is not common with the other ones that we mentioned. Measles doesn't present like that.
And this must be the advanced stage.
Yes. By the time it gets to that stage, it is already full-blown.
Yeah, because you said, let's hope it doesn't get there. But nations don't live on hope.
Yes.
So what do we do?
Precaution.
We should prepare for the worst.
Yes, precisely. Precaution. One, our behaviors, our attitude towards epidemic and pandemic should change. We should take things more seriously than we do now. When I say our behavior, as a people, we don't wash our hands as frequently as we should. Point number one. Point number two, we don't take things as seriously as we should when they happen. When you pass by a Nigerian street and you see people fighting, everybody is interested. They want to see the fight. They want to see who is giving the bigger blow. But when we talk about a disease, people say, it's not a big problem until it hits them. HIV would have been better controlled in Nigeria than it has been if we had taken more serious, if we had responded with more seriousity than we did. America responded very well, and they were able to control it and almost now eradicated it. So what we should do, first of all, we should be alert. We should look out for cases. We should not be in doubt of anything. If somebody starts with, like Professor Nasidi told us, and that's what we should look for, that kind of fever, sudden fever, body ache, muscle aches, a person becoming very weak very quickly. Usually for somebody to become very weak, it should be some time of illness. But when a person becomes weak suddenly, be careful and be worried. Then, of course, we should, those of us in the health sector, should mount surveillance. NCDC just told us of what they are doing, but that should be expanded. I can tell you right now that if you go to many states and you tell them, are you paying attention and looking for possible cases of Mpox?
They are unaware.
They are going to look at you with like,
What's Mpox?
What are you talking about?
Anyways, thank you very much, Dr. Igboja. We'll get back to you, but I want to find out from Dr. Joseph, you know, the kind of strain we have in the country. Professor Nasidi told us about the clade 1, clade 2. Amongst the 39 cases you have found, which of these strains did you find? That's one. Then 2, you said there are 39 confirmed cases. Before yesterday, there was no report from NCDC as regards Mpox in this country. Why did the NCDC wait? You said you've mounted surveillance since January, or since when? You know, the beginning of the year. Did you just discover the 39 cases just yesterday? Or, you know, I mean, because it's been an issue, you know, in other countries, we've been seeing reports. NCDC didn't come out in March, in February to say they found 1 or 2 cases, nothing. And then yesterday, all of a sudden, we hear 39 cases. Why the delay in the reports of the cases that were discovered? And then, what is the history surrounding the 39 cases? Did they all just come into the country yesterday? Or, you know, I mean, just I want to know.
Okay, thank you. I think if you look at the history of monkeypox outbreak in Nigeria, for the past 3 to 4 years, we have been reporting we have been having many cases, and we have been responding to those cases and try to ensure that we do all the needful in terms of surveillance, testings, and also try to ensure that the case fatality rate is actually at the BRS minimums. In 2022, we had the largest outbreaks, and that times we also responded very well, and at that time our case fatality rate is still below 1%. But just to answer the question you asked, that why do we just reported 39 cases yesterday? No, we have been reporting these cases from January. The cases, we have been having cases from January. And we have a system in place that we call integrated disease surveillance systems. All the state is fully aware. I told you the last time that we have reported up to 786 suspected cases, which we have all tested. And out of all of these cases, 39 confirmed cases, but that is monkeypox. And the good things that we have done over the time is that we have been able to educate the public, even at the community level, because most of these cases are peak at the community levels, to show that the surveillance is sensitive enough to be able to pick up to 786 suspected cases. That shows that some of these cases that you pick at the community levels, you have a robust surveillance system to be able to pick out these cases. And that's one of the signs of how sensitive our surveillance system look like. And then again, after doing that, sometimes, you know, because of the challenges, that is why the senior colleague here said that our lab is not yet overwhelmed. For us to be able to have the capacity to test all the suspected cases, that's why we have a very good system in place to be able to test all those cases. But the good thing about the cases we are having in Nigeria is the clade 2, and that is the one that is not virulent. That is the West African subtypes, and the case fatality rate is still 0.0%. Yesterday we had the press conference, and at the community levels, at the state level, there's been a lot of sensitization to be able to educate people. We have our flyers in place, circulated across the state. And then on our website, we make sure that we update the public, the current situation.
But how many people visit the NCDC website, by the way? So if you have that information there, so when you had 10 cases, you had 5, you had 15, I mean, nobody got to hear about it until it was declared a public, an international, you know, health concern. Then the NCDC suddenly wakes up and alerting Nigerians that we already have it with us. So I'm wondering, how did these 39 cases that you have confirmed get, you know, what was the history, you know, with these particular patients? Is it that, you know, they came in from other countries, or we have it with us here?
So those 39 confirmed cases spread across 19 states. In countries. We have from Bayelsa, we have from Lagos, we have from Edo, we have from Nasarawa, we have from FCT. So they cut across the 19 states. But the suspected cases cut across 39 states plus FCTs. So the system we have used over the time is to ensure that we have a robust system of enlightening the public and the community.
You have still
level.
not told me the history of these particular cases.
So
did they come from from Congo? Where did they come from? Where can you trace, you know, these cases from? Is it that we have these cases in the country, you know, it just grew from Nigeria, or they came, it was imported from somewhere else? That's what I want to know.
So from all the documentation we have not having any imported cases. These are cases that was reported in countries. But you know, some of the time, because of international travels and all of those things, and then you try to probe all the cases, and you have not have any epidemiological link with any of the cases outside the countries. Yes, we had a case in Lagos that we actually tracked, and some of them have the histories of traveling, of coming from other countries, but they have been in the countries for a number of times, and then when you check the incubation period and consider the time they travel out of the countries, you may not necessarily link the case with another case from outside. So we have the case in countries. For the past 5 years, we have been reporting the type 2 substrain of Mpox, and some of all the cases that we have in country, we have not have any link with any case outside.
So have you placed surveillance on the contact of these 39 confirmed cases as we speak? Because, you know, before they presented with symptoms and you're able to confirm that it's monkeypox, have you been able to trace their contacts so far, you know, till this time?
Thank you. I think that's a very good question. So we also have that system in place to be able to have contact tracing for all our confirmed cases. So far, we have been able to trace 166 contacts, and none of them has come down with the monkeypox. So we have that system in place across the state. For every confirmed case, we need to trace all the contacts, and to show that none of the contacts manifest symptoms or come down with any of these disease. And we have our protocol in place. When we see a contact of a confirmed case over a period of times, we pick, if we meet our case definition, we take sample from that contact, and we also test for that contact, so that we'll be able to trace all those contacts.
By the way, what's the incubation period for this disease?
So it's between 5 to 16 days.
What's the severity of the cases, the confirmed cases that you have? How heavy, if I may use the word, is the dose that they have, and what is the propensity to lead to fatality?
So for the current subtype that we have in country, I think the severity is not as high compared to the one in Congo, that's clade 1B, that is spreading across some of the African countries, even some of the naive countries where they are not reporting cases, like Kenya, Uganda. They are now recording cases of monkeypox, and the subtype they have reported is clade 1B, which is more virulent. But what we have in country is still subtype is 2B. But one of the things that we have also done that also give us some level of confidence that we will not have any of the clade 1 in country is that we also have the capacity to do genomic sequencing. So most of these samples we have actually tried to look at what are the subtype of what we have in country, circulating in countries. And so far so good with what we have done in our reference laboratory in Abuja. The only subtype we have reported in Nigeria, or we have currently in Nigeria, is that 2B, and that is not virulent. But what we are trying to do now, because of the declarations, we are trying to ensure that we enhance our surveillance system, optimize our laboratories to be able to have more laboratories, because we have so many laboratories that have that capacities. It's just for us to optimize them so that they can be able to test. And good things that we have done over the time is to ensure that over the year we have what we call the medical countermeasure, supplies in place. That is the material for you to be able to test and be able to collect samples across the countries. So samples are coming and we are testing all the samples, and that helps us to be able to ensure that for every possible suspected cases that have been reported, we pick the sample, we test, and over a time, we do the sequencing of it for us to be able to know which type of the strain that is circulating in
Is there a risk of fatality
for the current subtype?
Yes.
I think
for the cases that you have.
No risk.
All right.
Because
thank you,
Dr. Joseph. 0.0%.
All right, thank you. And you're monitoring them. All right. So, and they're likely going to recover, right? With the cases that you have,
many of them have recovered.
Okay,
many
fantastic.
of them have recovered.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Joseph. I'll pause you. Let's get to Professor Nasidi. When Dr. Boja was talking, he talked about the fact that in Nigeria we lack the capacity to handle diseases like this. Well, you do not, away from the fact that, well, maybe infrastructure, medical personnel and all of that, you can't take away the misinformation and conspiracy theories away from, things like this. When Ebola came, of course, there were so many issues. COVID came, of course, we're still dealing with some of the conspiracy theories of COVID-19. In fact, some people are saying that some people are coming down with certain disease because they took the vaccine and all of that. So many issues. Now, this is here. Mpox is here. What are the likely stories, if you like, misinformation, fake news, conspiracy theories? We're going to hear about this. And how would you want to counter that now? Then I want you to speak, concerning the preparedness of NCDC. This is not the first time we're having, global health concern. And yet, each time it comes, we hear that, NCDC will be better prepared the next time. And then the next time it comes, it will be better prepared the next time. So, when will it be functioning optimally? When are we going to have our medical facilities, the NCDC, our health sector, at optimum to deal with certain diseases, or rather these kind of diseases? Professor Nasidi.
Well, thank you. It's multiple questions, but I'll try to answer. That is the fact that definitely because it's a virus that is changing, that came from the animals, there will be lots and lots of conspiracy theories. Some are considering that it could be a biological weapon, that, or the virus is being manipulated and whatever, or it just came from the nature already dangerous. So,
and some are saying it's deployed to reduce the population in Africa.
Yeah. Some are saying that if we allow this type of viruses to be reimagined, and mutating, and the possibility that we might end up with a more deadly virus that could come from this same virus to cause the next pandemic. If you are aware, they are all talking already about the next pandemic. The world should be prepared. They are sure. In fact, according to some of the scientists and conspirators or conspiracy theories, they are sure the third pandemic is in the coming, or the next pandemic is in the coming. It's in the making.
Do they manufacture these pandemics?
That's what so everybody must be all countries must be on the highest level of alert, because especially, there are countries that have plenty or many natural resources, and if they are not very active, people can do whatever they want to do so that they keep exploring your natural resources. So even though they say it could say it's not true, there is not any ulterior motive in it and all, but you have to be on the highest level of alert. Am I right? So the next is, how prepared are we? Is NCDC up to the task or not? I will say, I'm not saying because I was there before, but NCDC has really evolved. In fact, Dr. Benga Joseph, I remember when he came to me very young, but I found him to be very active and very intelligent. I'm happy he's now a director. From his answers, you can see the way he's doing. I think the NCDC has evolved, has come off age. That they've done a lot. What is happening? Why is Nigeria a little bit more prepared than many other African countries? Is the fact that the NCDC is there, and the NCDC had gotten the Ebola experience, COVID experience, that to the extent that the WHO, they regarded our response to Ebola as a classical, public health response to an emergency that other countries should learn. So we did very well in controlling that Ebola. COVID-19 came, we did very well. So now that new ones are coming, all we need to do is to start reactivating and repurposing all the mechanisms we put to fight Ebola, to fight COVID, and so on and so forth. Like what he was telling you, our laboratory at Gadua, the National Reference Lab, is one of the best in Africa. We are doing more things than even some laboratories in South Africa and Senegal and this thing that we were not doing before. Now we can do genomic sequencing, we can do this thing. So if you are doing enhanced surveillance and you don't have a laboratory backup, it's like you are learning how to swim without, what do they call it? So I think, you know, the Nigerian CDC have done a lot along that line. But what is most impressive is that, you know, as he has said, the current preparation, you know, to pick these diseases early is the enhanced proactive surveillance, whereby, you know, any case at all the states have now been warned. Am I right? I think you have met all the state epidemiologists and they've been informed. Though no waiting for any disease that has rashes must be fully investigated. So with that, in fact, this proactive surveillance could be more effective than the vaccine. We call it the poor man's vaccine. Because if there is, take for instance, one case in a family, which means that family is exposed and many other people can, the immediate proactive surveillance of that family and the surrounding can help more than just having the vaccine to give to the people. Because you can quickly isolate and what do they call it in the bud?
To nip it in the
to
bud.
nip it in the bud. So if you know, you have that type of system, you know, it will be very wonderful. But virtually all the states in the country have what we call the emergency operating centers, and all the emergency operating centers have listed category of diseases that, you know, they must be a little bit more attentive on. And now I'm sure monkeypox is added. So that means, you know, even if there's any case, you could quickly get the states to identify it and report. But let me tell you, the most important aspect of proactive surveillance is the primary healthcare centers. Primary healthcare. If we can fix our primary healthcare and put even minimal surveillance capabilities there, all these diseases will not come and take us by surprise. So, but to be able to do these activities, especially more, to do to respond to these great challenges, public health emergencies, you need funding, you need resources, and you know, if you hear the budget of US CDC, I think it's equivalent to the budget of Nigeria, and the NIH is twice the budget of Nigeria. They invest so much in health. They don't joke. So it's better to remain healthy, to build your country, than to be, they say it's better to be...
health is wealth.
Health is wealth, you know. So NCDC, you know, has to be fully empowered now in the face of this possible pandemic. We should not ignore it. It can happen. And then the issue of severity. He's saying, Dr. Joseph is saying, you know, the clade in Nigeria now is not as virulent. It's virulent, but not as virulent as the new one emerging now. But it can take us by surprise anytime, just like you said rightly. And you know, issue of severity of the disease. I happen to have worked in Bielsa, and I saw some few cases. Some of them were very severe, really, really severe. So, but you know, the issue, the capability for the virus to lead to death and all this now is something that we shall talk about next day. Then finally, it is so important that the healthcare workers, you know, the surveillance starts from the healthcare worker on the bedside or in the community, the public health community. They can identify, and the hospital, what we are so much worried about, like Dr. Ibojo has mentioned, that when the virus jumps from monkey or animal to man and back to monkey, it can reassort or mutate, you know, is that when it jumps from the patient to the healthcare worker, what we call nosocomial transmission, like in Lassa, it can be so devastating. So the level of alert should also be at the highest among the healthcare workers in particular, because they are the front line, you know, first line of this. So I would like to advise, we shouldn't joke at all, because it surprised Congo. 50% of counties in Burundi now are affected. It came to Burundi from Congo, and within 3 months, it spread so fast. Rwanda, Burundi, all those countries around Congo are already infected. But the one in Burundi is the one that shocked everybody. Say, how can this virus spread so quick? It's not known to be, spreading among men, and then it's not spreading. They don't have a high level of, commercial sex workers there or gay men. These are, heterosexual people is spreading among them. So it's really, really dangerous. We pray that that clade 1B, that is now becoming very efficient in transmission, does not change again. If it changes again and gains more potency, it will now be causing more severe diseases that with the death rate will not be 10% anymore.
Well, I would say let's not pray. Let's not just pray. Let's walk.
Let's walk.
Let's walk.
But now that you
pray and walk.
Now that you have mentioned pray. Nigerians like that word pray. They pray a lot. So do you think prayer would work here?
Yes, you can combine praying and walking. When you combine the two. If you do only one, that's where there is trouble. But it is good to walk and pray and
let me get to the Bojo. And now I'm not going to be asking you to begin the prayers. But how would you say that the stigma surrounding monkeypox or Mpox as it is now has affected public health efforts?
No, I wouldn't say it has yet. It could. But at the moment, from what we have just heard from NCDC, I don't think it has affected it in the way that we would worry about. There's a possibility. What I want to really want us to think about and to probably get ready to do is the possibility of it getting out of hand. Right now in the world, there's a possibility of a pandemic caused by a virus, not bacteria, virus. Why? Because this is one organism that changes very fast, and every time it replicates or multiplies, there's a likelihood of it changing its nature or its character. And when it does, if it was non-poisonous, let me use the word that everybody can relate to, it could change and become poisonous. If it was poisonous, it could change and become non-poisonous. Therefore, it is not predictable. You cannot predict virus. It can do anything at any time. NCDC just informed us that the clade we have in Nigeria at the moment is fortunately not as dangerous as the other. But there's a possibility too that within the next few days, few months, few weeks, something could happen. It could change. I also want to alert us to the fact that this particular virus mimics or looks like smallpox virus. They are actually from the same family. They are cousins. So the possibility of it mutating and becoming very dangerous is very high. It's possible. So there's a need for us to continue to mount our surveillance, to continue to report any cases of rashes or fever or any of the symptoms that we've just discussed as soon as they are seen. And one of the best ways of doing this is what NCDC is doing. Get people from all the states together, the epidemiologists, inform them, let them go back, do the same thing at their own state levels, so that the local government staff, who are actually the staff of the primary healthcare centers, get to know and get to be prepared, get to be trained. There is nothing worse than playing with danger. If you pick a viper and you don't know it is viper, you are in trouble. So it's better for you to know that that snake could be a viper and to avoid it than to wait and pick it and think that you could toil with it.
All right. So, of course, Dr. Iboja, thank you so much. You say smallpox and monkeypox, or rather Mpox, are cousins who want to know who their parents, nieces, nephew, and all of that. No, but this is not a joking matter. This is a very serious health concern, and I want to find out from Dr. Joseph. You said that the cases that that you have reported are not fatal at the moment. I want to know in terms of treatment now. How you said some have been treated. I don't know. Of course, you may not want to disclose how that is done, but tell us to what level can Mpox be treated, and then what can we learn from what you have said? It's been reported, in previous years and all of that. What can we learn, from the past outbreaks in Africa, what we've had in Nigeria, so that we do not have a more dangerous situation in our hands this time around?
Okay, thank you. So the number of cases we have, those 39 confirmed cases, have been managed across different hospitals in Nigeria. And some of them have also been managed at home, because we also have that approach of doing that. It depends, because many times when you have the monkeypox and the subtype that we have, some of them are self-limiting. So after a period, you see the blisters and then break, and over sometimes it disappeared. So what we do is just to do what we call symptomatic management. But most of the time, what usually causes some challenge is what we call superimposed infections. If you don't take care of some of those blisters, it's not properly managed in the hospitals, you can have some other superimposed infections that actually leads to another things. And then again, managing some of those cases, we have been able to provide support in terms of some of the medicines that will provide to the state to support them in managing those cases, provide them the IPC to support the case management. And we are also leveraging on what has happened over the years. You see, the pioneer DG, who have done so great work even in pursuing for the NCDC to come to what we have now. I think I can recollect some of the struggle those days when they were all struggling. You are fighting to establish an agency that will support a nation like this, and you also have some other people in-house that you need to educate for them to actually believe in struggle, apart from other people outside that you need to educate. It's a very complex struggle. And that plan has been set in place. That is why we have all these robust laboratories. But what are the things that we have learned from the past? There are strategies we have been able to put in place in the past, and that we are leveraging upon it now. Like incident management system we have across the state. It's a coordinated system whereby you can bring all resources together, all expertise together within in a state for them to be able to respond to those outbreaks. Again, we have what we call integrated disease surveillance system. It's a very robust surveillance system that be able to capture, collect data from the health facility, from the communities, even up to the national level, for us to be able to pick all of these cases. Then again, the pioneer DD talk about the primary health care, that we need to capture data from that place. Currently, we have what we call epidemic readiness at the PAC level. And what we are trying to do is to give them some of the basic training for them to be able to have small preparedness plan in place, be able to pick and do basic things at the PAC before they refer the case to the treatment centers. We also have robust medical countermeasure system in place whereby we project ahead of times. And what we usually do is to be able to ensure that all the risk we have in country, we have a system whereby we do risk profiling. In that risk profiling, we're able to identify the risk that we may likely occur in the years, and then we characterize them in terms of moderate, low, high, and very high across the years. So monkeypox is one of those risks that we have actually, we know that it's going to happen, and then we have been putting all the plan in place, and that is why we have all the sample collection materials across the state. We have them moving sample from January from different communities, and most of these samples, they are not just picked from the urban centers, they pick them from the community, from interiors. So that's so the robust system in place that we have for us to actually control this pandemic. So we are building on the effort of the others, of what people have done, like in Ebola's, the wonderful work we've done in Ebola's, in that of COVID-19, the lab that we have now, we can optimize some of the labs. Like yesterday, we had a press conference, and the DG announced some of the few labs that will come on board very soon, that will soon be optimized. They have the capacities, it's just to bring them into the networks and then ensure that all the reagents
we'll talk more about capacity
those.
And preparedness, but that will be when we return from this break. Please don't go away.
You have to move from the point where you protect and defend your religion to a point where you also recognize the rights of the other person, of the other religion, and protect it. So if I am protecting my own territory and my own people and trying to emphasize their rights and protect their rights, I should also be thinking about how to protect the rights of the others.
Both Islam and Christianity recognize and defer to God, and both recognize the temporariness of the life of this world, and that ultimately we all go back to God for the day of reckoning, when everybody will render an account of his life on this temporary abode.
Can you smell the 5 million naira?
Yeah.
We can you smell the 5 million naira? Name something that might be a deal breaker for you in a romantic relationship.
Trust.
Cheating.
I would say small d.
Mommy, are you shy?
It can't see. We are coping.
Oluwa Sheun.
No pressure.
Pressure to what?
No pressure.
2 strikes.
No pressure.
Name a way most people get over their ex.
Crying.
Crying.
So they say.
The federal government of Nigeria warns vandals of national assets, electricity transmission towers, cables, and other facilities to desist from this act of sabotage. Vandalism is a serious crime punishable under the law. Vandalizing electrical equipment will affect millions of Nigerians, including your loved ones. Remember that national assets belong to all of us, hence the need to protect them. Report all cases of suspicious movement around electrical facilities to security agencies. When you see something, say something. This message is from the Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation in collaboration with the National Counter-Terrorism Center, NCTC, Office of the National Security Advisor.
All right, thank you for staying with us. This is still Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA, and we've been discussing Mpox as an emergency. Now, let me get back to Professor Nasidi. We've been talking about our own in-house efforts, but you did allude to the fact that it could become no longer easy to be contained by Nigeria, for instance, because as it spreads, it may become an international concern. Is there already contact? What sort of collaboration exists as of today with the international community regarding Mpox?
Well, I'm sure it's the NCDC that will answer that question better, because they are the people now that are on top of controlling,
Okay.
this. So maybe Benga, you can take that question.
Dr. Benga.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I think if this January this year, we had a meeting with West African countries and some other Central African countries just to review what we have done before, to learn and be able to see how we can, replicate some of those best practices over the times. And we use that opportunity to take stocks and then be able to look at our plans. Again, with other neighboring countries, there is a lot of border surveillance and a change of information. We have a lot of collaboration between the other countries. In fact, last 2 years, one of our colleagues from the office was sent to Congo to also support them in response. So we have that collaborations, and we have the exchange program whereby we can support the other countries, and that is why we have the system in place whereby each member country have what we call the search staff. We call it rapid response register for each countries. Then the African country have the central one whereby they look at what individual country have in terms of capacity to be able to support other countries. By and large, we have a collaboration in terms of surveillance to be able to exchange information. And for the laboratory, each member country is encouraged to be able to have a robust laboratory in place and share their information. Like the information we have in countries, other members of the other member states also have some of that information. And they also share some of their situation report. Time to time, we have different platforms where we exchange some of this information, and that helps us to be able to follow each other.
All right,
I think at that level, we have some bit of collaboration in terms of exchanging information.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Joseph. I'd like to find out from Dr. Igboja. Besides, consulting prayer houses, can we also consult traditional medicine experts in this particular case? We can't rule that out, and we need to know if people should, seek traditional help and use traditional medicine in dealing with Mpox. Because, some of the issues have been mentioned by Professor Nasidi earlier. The primary healthcare centers, are not functioning optimally. In some cases, it is absent, and people have to rely on, traditional help and all of that. Is that a way to go in this case?
No. Definitely no. Not. It's not the way to go, because this is one disease that you have to confirm using the laboratory, which they don't use, which they don't have. One. Two, the spread can be very fast. And if you see the way traditional medicine is practiced, they take their time. They get very close to the victim or to the patient. And sometimes they even give more medication than the patient needs, because they usually don't measure. They overdose. Even for malaria. There's a tree in Nigeria that you use for treating malaria that has the same effect as chloroquine. In fact, they call it chloroquine tree. You cut the leaf or the bark of the tree and boil it. It's as bitter as chloroquine, and it works exactly the same way as chloroquine. And I was told the bark and the root of it is used for making chloroquine. So it is not that traditional medicine does not have its own place. It could, but not in this kind of case at all. I would advise that even if there's a traditional healer that is around, and you don't ask him to treat a case that you suspect could be Mpox. I wouldn't do that, and I wouldn't recommend it. Rather, what I would do is to refer the person to a nearby health center or any health worker who would report it to higher or next level so that it can be investigated. You don't play with something that you don't know. Traditional healers, by and large, treat by suspicion, guessing, throwing a stone into the dark because you heard a sound. You may get the victim, the invader, you may not. So when we have a case like this, it is very necessary for us to be precise, to be knowledgeable, to take the necessary required action, such as laboratory test for confirmation, to rule out whether it is or it is not. So definitely no.
No. Okay, but very soon we're going to start seeing videos of take your bath with salt, eat ginger, drink garlic, and all of that. Certainly. So what would be your recommendation to all of those misinformation that may start coming out in the coming days?
And this is the reason why sensitization is very important. so that we know what could help and what cannot help. You remember when COVID came, there were all, like you just mentioned salt, for example, there were all kinds of stories, all kinds of instructions. Everybody became a doctor. And they were giving all kinds of instructions as to what you should do and what you should not do. And some of what they told people to do became very harmful, like the case of salt. So please let it be understood that when you have this kind of situation at hand, the best thing to do is to follow the protocol that we have. What is the protocol? When you see something that is strange, that is suspicious, report it. In the health system, refer it to the next level. Report it. If you report, then there's a possibility of it getting to the level where somebody would come and take a sample and test for confirmation. So it's very important. Yes, let's pray that we don't have more cases. But if we do, there's a possibility that people are going to give all kinds of stories. If you use this particular type of soap, the rashes will disappear overnight. Not knowing that there's something that caused the rash. The rash does not just appear overnight for nothing or from nothing. So if you don't get to the root of the problem will not be solved. We have to be aware of that. And this is also why social mobilization, health education in our health facilities is supposed to be continuous. When we have a case like this, don't wait until there's a case of Mpox in a particular health facility before it becomes part of the health education. When they're giving health education in the morning to pregnant women on antenatal day, for example, or to mothers of children that they're going to immunize, let this be part of it. If you see something, if you see a child with rashes, with fever, or with this, please do this. As this becomes part of us, people become ready and informed, and therefore will be able to take the right action in controlling diseases that may or might emerge.
Dr. Gbenga, I'm sorry, Prof, I'll get to you now, but I just wondered, following from Dr. Boja's comments, how much of public awareness is in your, control efforts?
Okay, I think what we know that the public awareness is very key and is very, very important. So we are trying to approach it from the community levels to ensure that we reach out to people even at the community levels. Then at the state levels and the national levels, we are also trying to ensure that we increase the public awareness effort so that we can encourage people, we can enlighten people to know, to have the basic things.
What of those of us in the urban centers? Are we on our own?
Yes, we have our advisory note that has been sent across to different states, including FCTs, in terms of what needs to be done. That has been done several times over the years, and everybody knows some of the basic measures they need to put in place for them to be able to prevent and then control monkeypox within their territories. And we also have flyers. We have some other flyers that educate the publics. What are like some of these basic questions that people ask. We have been able to provide answer to some of those basic questions. We have circulated that over the years, but we'll continue to do that and recirculate that because we know that there's nothing that we cannot just stop doing that. We need to continue doing that to enlighten the public.
Not only do you need to continue, you need to make it better, because if not that you're sitting in this studio, Dr. Joseph, I for one, as a Nigerian, I have not come across any of those flyers you're talking about, or neither have I seen any message, concerning Mpox in the country. And, except for the press conference you said you had yesterday, which, I watched and I saw reports. So, of course, that needs to be enhanced just so that, a lot of Nigerians are educated and they know exactly what is going on. This is, their health, and it's very important. But let me get to you now, Professor Nasidi. We're about to round up the conversation. I know you have mentioned it before, but I'd like you to mention it. We cannot state it too much, just so that people are aware. What can Nigerians do now? What can parents do? What can children do? What should we do as a people to be able to, curtail this disease as much as possible. So just let us know everything, that the measures we need to take. Are we supposed to stop shaking people? Are we supposed to start wearing nose masks? What should we do?
Well, thank you for that very important public health question now, that, to alert the masses, and individuals. Everybody's role is important, from the president, because like in Ebola, like in COVID, the role of the president of the nations are always very important when they are giving directive down to say, I want this done. So that is the beginning of the success of public health response. So from the president down to the minister, down to individuals. So I'm happy already from the ministerial level to all the other institutions, what they need to do, they are already doing the press briefing by the minister, by the DG, NCDC, who is also one of the heroes of the Ebola, because he was one who worked very actively when he was Commissioner for Health in Lagos, to fight against this Ebola disease and even COVID. So the key is, what should individuals do? First and foremost is to be knowledgeable, to know about the disease. So the NCDC is struggling to enhance that type of campaign for, as you rightly said, but for the press briefing you have known, but we have radio, we have other means, etc. This has to be, enhanced. Then, just like the Ebola and COVID, just like Ebola rather, Mpox is not like COVID that is spread through, by aerosol and others. But this one is contact. You have to come into contact, either skin to skin contact or sexual contact and all this. So it makes it much easier, to really, protect yourself from Mpox. But unfortunately, and that is the most important aspect there, almost 80% of the cases are mild. They don't come open. So some that are not very severely ill, I have headache, I think I have fever. It could be that Mpox has started. So if you come into close contact, shaking hands and all this, you might get it. But the type of contact they're talking is not like the Ebola one, that if I shake you, you have Mpox or this, I might get it. It's not as efficient as that. But it is important, as Dr. Eboja has been emphasizing, whether there is Mpox or not, just make sure that you wash your hands after any event. You go out, you come back, the first thing you do before you enter your house is to wash your hands. We shouldn't ignore those hand sanitizer. They are very, very important. They could be effective, to carry. For instance, I always move with it. I don't opt to tomorrow, I'm moving with my own. There's no need for mask for Mpox, but definitely there's need for hand washing, using of disinfectants and so on and so forth. But all we're saying this for those who can afford it. Take, for instance, in the camps where you have these people who are brought from the war zones and so on and so forth. If Mpox enters there, especially the children, they don't know what to do. They don't wash their hands. So they can serve as what they call the mixing vessel, where the virus will multiply more and more and more. And then when any of them comes out, like to beg, to this and so on and so forth, and anybody who thinks, it can spread. Then secondly, they are vulnerable. Many people explore their weaknesses, especially the children, the female, and all these. Some have been raped, some have been. So in the process, you have closer contact. So you could actually come into, this with virus. We are warning, and it's real, that is highly transmissible now through sexual activity. So anybody who loves himself and his family should be very, very careful, So it is not to say if you use condom, you are protected like HIV/AIDS. Whether you use condom or not condom, you have body skin-to-skin contact, it can blow up. It can be very terrible. It might not kill, but it could kill. And the case I saw in Bielsa was so severe. And it's definitely transmission through sexual, already that time in Bielsa. So those who love themselves should limit their escapades, and their families, and make sure that you don't move from place to place because you don't know where it is. It's more common among the commercial sex workers. In all the countries it appeared, it's more common now among the sexual workers. It's more common among the gay and whatever. We don't know, in this case, you won't know who is bisexual and all these things. So the best thing is to remain, loyal to your partner and really be very extremely careful and they don't start moving around. Because if the virus escapes, mutates and becomes deadly, and you make one mistake, what you lost, you remember.
All right, thank you, Professor Natsidi. Dr. Boja, what are the long-term implications should monkeypox or Mpox become endemic in Africa or indeed in Nigeria?
Well, since this disease is vaccine preventable, like many others, I would use this opportunity to remind us that we need to be able to produce our vaccines. There may be a time when we would need to vaccinate people against Mpox because there's a vaccine for it.
Okay.
But again, the most important vaccine is our attitude. Hygiene conscious, wash your hands as frequently as possible, be clean, personal hygiene, environmental hygiene, environmental sanitation, keep your ears open so that if you hear of something that could affect you, you respond appropriately. But let me repeat again, we need to prepare. NCDC is doing very well. We need to expand. We need to leverage from our previous experiences. We need to be prepared, especially with vaccine preventable diseases. We should try as much as possible, at least in every year, to look back and say, during 2023 or 2024, Nigeria was able to produce this vaccine. If we have this kind of target, before the next 5 years, we will probably be able to have all the vaccines. We may not be able to produce all of them at once, but at least let's take some steps and go step by step.
Because of time, we're about to round up. Dr. Joseph, I'd like you to tell us, if you have the information, there's a report that the European Union has supported Nigeria with £18 million, to fund vaccine research in Nigeria. Could you let us know the state of that, collaboration with the EU, if the NCDC has that information? And then let us know about this vaccine. Do we have it in the country at the moment? Are there plans to get it? What is it about the vaccine?
Okay, for the support from EU, I'm not aware of that information, if it is available. But I think for now, I may not have any information to provide. But as regards vaccine, we have the emergency approvals of one of the vaccines, and Nigeria has applied to get part of the vaccines. Currently, 10,000 doses is coming to countries, and we are expecting the vaccine to arrive very, very soon. And we have also mapped out the hotspot states and some of the community where they may likely require the vaccines, the protocol and the process to be able to give out the vaccines in place. Very, very soon, it's going to arrive. Possibly.
Which country is the vaccine coming from?
It's coming from Denmark.
All right, fantastic. And talking about the agreement, it's important that you get that. I'm sure in April, actually, was when the agreement was signed with the EU, Nigeria and the EU on vaccine production. 18 million pounds. Of course, we'll stay on that, and we hope we'll get you some other time, to talk about all of this and all of that. Then the vaccine, let us know, those who are not yet infected, are those who are supposed to take the vaccine, or those already infected?
So there is a protocol of taking that vaccine. We have a protocol in place, and it's going to be a lot of priority will be given to some of the people, most especially that have immune compromised patients, and they are likely exposed to this virus, so those people will be considered. We are looking forward of getting more vaccine and to continue to review the situations, and based on the situation, we know that we'll put more effort to be able to control and prevent that. by and large, I think the advisory note the NCDC has been given, even to the technical expert at the state level, will continue to do that and will continue to be able to promote this enlightenment among the public, so that we'll be sure that this particular virus and these outbreaks is put under control and is contained in Nigeria.
Thank you very much. Of course, that's the hope of every Nigerian watching. We hope we can contain this. Thank you, Dr. Gbenga Joseph, Head Health Emergency and Preparedness Department, Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention, NCDC. Thanks for joining us. And of course, Professor Abdulsalami Nasidi, Pioneer Director General, Nigeria Center for Disease Control and NCDC. It was a pleasure to have you on the program again today.
Thank you very much. Nice
we hope we get past this stage, just like we did with Ebola and COVID.
Exactly.
All right. Of course, Dr. Isaac Igboja, the public health specialist. Always nice to have you with us. Thank you for coming again today.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So that's it. Take care of your health. Health is wealth, like they say. I'm Anyway John. Remain tuned to the NTA.
And I'm Victor, as well. Say thank God it's Friday, and see you again on Monday.
Did you say thank God it's Friday? What?